It all started out there, who knows how long ago. Some magical mix of minerals and elements, salt, and most of all water, met with a divine spark, and poof, here we are. Since then, we've never gone far from the ocean. We can't. We're connected to it like a mother and child. We use it for relaxation, inspiration, transportation, shipping. Plus, we get a lot of food there. The oceans are the world's biggest farms. Come on, let me take you where the food comes from. American farmers deal with a unique set of situations, challenges, obstacles, and opportunities every day. The American wild-caught fishing industry is no different. Fishermen are farmers too. They just work on the world's largest farm. They deal with the same kind of regulations though, the same kind of pressures. Overfishing, aquaculture in other countries especially, fish farming where fish are grown in ponds on land where they don't have the same kind of cost and inputs or even the same kind of regulations that American fishermen have to deal with. We're going to tell you about one American seafood company based in Clearwater, Florida that's found a way to not only survive but thrive for over 40 years now. So Joel, about 40 years ago, a guy rolled down here to Florida from Canada, thought he had maybe a simple idea. He was gonna start a little place for people to hang out, have a cold beer, great grouper sandwich. Don't think he thought it would get as complicated as it has. What is the whole Frenchy's organization now? You got 9 boats under your control. You've got 9 different restaurants.
That's correct.
Processing facility, the Stone Crab Company.
Retail facility. Yeah, there's a lot going on. It started as a little dream of just a place to go have beers and have some fresh seafood. He got his own boat in 1981, and he bought this dock in 1981 as well. It started really small, just one boat, supplying one restaurant with fresh grouper, and as it went on, it just every year it kept growing.
Frenchy's immediately became famous for the grouper sandwich.
That's right.
Which is something we see grouper everywhere now across the United States on menus everywhere, but for a long time it was really kind of a Florida thing and especially a Tampa Bay thing.
Right. Grouper is one of our most plentiful commodities here in Florida. Our main goal is to get everything fresh from Florida. You know, I get everything as sustainably sourced and locally sourced as we can, and it's just been growing from there.
Now, a lot of that growth has come out of necessity though, because the first cafe had to have a consistent quality grouper supply.
That's right.
And you couldn't guarantee that just going and buying it off the docks, so the need to control your own supply.
Right now we have 6 Frenchy's restaurants. We also supply the Clear Skies restaurants, so it's 9 restaurants total. They depend on me to get them fresh fish, and they don't ask any questions. They just know that it's the best that we can offer and the best that our fishermen can catch.
And all of this just started with a simple idea. I would guess it's probably not so simple from your standpoint anymore, where you come into. You got a lot to keep track of. What's a day like for you?
Well, I mean, when I started here 10 years ago, I didn't know anything about fish, honestly. They were laughing at me because I walked in and I was like, oh, what kind of fish are you cutting here? And they're like, who are we hiring, you know? And I'm like, this is red grouper. And I just started from there, just driving a truck, and I loved what I was doing. I loved being around the food, the fresh fish, and just producing a supreme product, you know, and it went from there. And after I started cutting fish, I kind of became really good at that. I kind of became known as the fish fillet guy, and people would come in, regular customers, and they'd want to see me, and I'd give them, you know, cut their fish right there in front of them, And you know, we have a small area, but we work with it. And then out of necessity, I started running the business, and there's no turning back for me. I love it.
And everything that kind of flows from the time this boat, even before this boat leaves the dock the first time, that's on you.
Yeah, I touch every fish that goes into the restaurants, every sandwich. I mean, I've had my hands on it. Basically, when we unload all the fish like that, it's my priority to make sure it stays fresh, it gets cut while it's fresh, and it gets delivered fresh. And you know, from that boat onto people's plate, that's what we strive for, you know, is to give that taste of the Florida ocean to the customers that come here every day and want fresh Florida seafood. So, I mean, we go through about 400 to 500 pounds of whole fish a day during the weekdays. And then during the weekends, we have anywhere from 600 to 800 pounds Friday, Saturday, and Sunday going out to our restaurants. You know, it's not as easy as just getting out on a boat and just going to catch whatever you want.
So that fantasy is not real. You're not gonna quit your day job and go become a commercial fisherman.
Right, I mean, it is tough work for them. They go out and they literally live on those boats for 10 days.
Hi, I'm Chef Holly Shute with the Georgia Department of Agriculture representing Georgia Grown. So we're going to be making a roasted Vidalia onion salad dressing. So we've got some Dijon mustard, which we're going to put in a little food processor. Then we've got some pre-roasted Vidalia onions. They're chopped, tossed with a little bit of olive oil, salt and pepper, and roasted in the oven. And to that, we're going to add a little bit of sherry vinegar. Then we're going to pulse that. We're going to season that with a little bit of salt and pepper, and then some olive oil. And that's all there is to it. And you can use that on your favorite types of salad greens. So remember to take advantage of sweet Vidalia onions when they're in season.
Vidalia onions, hand-planted, hand-picked by chefs.
If you're a fisherman, this is pretty much a dream come true. This is the fishing vessel Scamp in Clearwater, Florida. It's part of a fleet of 9 partner fishermen that the Frenchy's organization works with. Captain Lee Burgess is the owner of this vessel. He and his crew are just back after 13 days at sea. Obviously, quite a successful haul. Now, you've been doing this for a while. You are now the captain yourself. You're now the captain of your own vessel, but you've been fishing for a minute.
I was born and raised in the Florida Keys, so I've been fishing my whole life thanks to my dad. And Kirby Clies ran this very same vessel for almost 28 years. I worked with him for almost 5 years before he decided I was ready to hand over the reins to me. And
you know, the way we look at it, the ocean is the world's biggest farm.
Absolutely.
And I mean, there's so much of the world that relies on seafood for its sustenance.
I don't really consider us anglers. We're professionals. We're professional harvesters. So some people can harvest better than others, and that's the game, to talk to other boat captains. But whether you're trying to gather information or share information, it's always like playing blackjack in Las Vegas. You don't always show your hand.
Just what I've seen coming off of this boat this morning is more fish than I've ever probably caught cumulatively in my entire life. What are some of these beauties that we're looking at here?
These are gag groupers, gags and scamps. These right here share the same bottom as the gags.
So this last trip was 13 days.
13
you got
days.
any kind of idea the amount that you're bringing in here, what it's going to weigh out at?
I say we're probably at about 2,000 pounds.
Wow. So a ton of fish.
Long hours, grueling hours, and then if the weather picks up, we don't lay down, we keep going.
So what is the process? Are you going out and saying, we're looking for this, 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 and this, and we're throwing that back, or?
We put them on the measuring board, we measure them out. As long as they're within regulation, they stay on the boat. If they happen to be short, we vent them and throw them back in the water so they can swim down it, because if they don't get vented and you catch them in deep water, 9 times out of 10, they won't survive. So we're all about being environmentally friendly, because the way I look at it, when I hand this business down to my son, if it's not a sustainable fishery, and I don't do my part to sustain it, he's not gonna have a future in this business.
50 years ago, you could go drag a net through any water and come back with more fish than you could ever possibly use.
That's true.
That's no longer the case. We've had overfishing, regulation. Your day is not as simple as saying, hey boys, let's get on the boat and go fishing.
We do it old school, traditional hook and line with the assistance of electric motors. That just speeds up the process. But the technique is still the same. You still got to fight the fish correctly. If you push them too hard, you're going to lose them.
Do you think people have any understanding or any realization of the kind of regulations and pressures y'all deal with? In the U.S., it seems that most professional fishermen are respectful
Absolutely.
of those limits. That's your future.
What people don't know is red groupers grow 3 inches a year. So if we catch a fish that is an inch too short for us to take home, we can catch that fish in 3 to 6 months and he's legal.
Now you're just back from 13 days at sea. How long would you lay up before you turn around and go right back out?
When I get home, nobody talks to me for 24 hours because that's about how long it takes for me to recover. I mean, in the summertime, I average 3 hours of sleep a night. In the wintertime, I get a little bit more, but if we don't get early starts and work 14-hour days, we won't have what we have right now. Me and my wife was trying to have a child for a few years and it didn't happen. It just wouldn't happen. And I got the boat, I established the business, I registered with the state of Florida, NOAA Fisheries, and my wife's like, I'm not even pregnant yet. It's like, that's okay. It's a thing called faith. Well, 9 months after I registered the business, bought the boat, and was already fishing, my wife got pregnant, just had a son 5 months ago, and his name is Noah. So he's gonna be the youngest business owner in the history of business owners. So when they go to kindergarten and they do show and tell, he'll be like, here's a business card. So I'm doing this for him.
We try to use every piece of the fish that we can, all the way down to the heads. The cheeks are kind of like a local delicacy. We put them on a skewer and fry them. We beer batter and fry the cheeks. They say it's one of the more tender bites. We save all the heads and scraps, and we catch stone crabs with it. You know, even the little birds outside get a little bit of the scraps. You know, it keeps them around. We don't like to waste anything. Something like this part here, you can cut this off and smoke it. And that's something I didn't know, that was actually a well-known delicacy. People love smoked fish throats. That's the finished product of the grouper fillet here. And they'll cut this into, you know, pieces. This fillet right here will make about 4 or 5 sandwiches and some nuggets.
Just as I grew up, watching my dad in the farm supply business and being a farmer and just being in all things agriculture, just 24/7, 365, immersed in it. And you grow up and you see that and it makes an impact on you. That was a big part of what encouraged me to come back home from college and stay in agriculture and just growing up in it. So our boys are growing up, they're in college. They've been in and around produce, vide onions, all their life. And I'm very optimistic and hopeful that it's made an impression on them. And as a second generation vide onion grower, packer, shipper, I'm hopeful that my 2 boys come back into the family business and become the 3rd generation.
Are you being audited and do you owe the IRS $10,000 or more in back taxes? Is the IRS threatening to take more of your money? Don't fight the IRS alone. The Tax Doctor is here to help you negotiate your tax bill and reduce your stress. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes, do not call the IRS alone. Call a Tax Doctor now for a tax emergency analysis.
A federal jury unanimously found Monsanto's popular weed killer Roundup was a substantial factor in causing cancer. If you or someone you love used Roundup and were diagnosed with cancer, call the number on your screen now. You may be entitled to substantial compensation.
So we are now actually in Dunedin, Florida.
Correct.
It's up the coast from Clearwater a bit. This is the most recent, this is the 5th actual sit-down Frenchy's location.
That is correct. Yeah, we started this restaurant about 5 years ago. We just wanted to spread our influence off of Clearwater Beach. And, you know, we have a lot of regular customers that are used to going to Clearwater, and they were just happy that, you know, they had to drive a little bit less to get Frenchy's food. When I started this job, my family is so excited. They'd always tell me, oh, we used to skip school and go down to Frenchy's, you know, and eat lunch there. It's so great.
I would think even among travelers, there's some faces that you see over and over and over again as they come back to Tampa Bay on vacation.
Yeah, I mean, we have people that come down every year and they look forward to coming to our restaurants, and they tell us that, you know, they've been coming here for so long and they're so glad that, you know, it all still tastes the same, and even if it's a different place, it still has the Frenchy's feeling.
All of the Frenchy's restaurants are different. They've all got differences about them. Some menu differences, and but there's a consistency that runs through all of them. You never have any doubt you're at a Frenchy's,
Right.
but you can get 5 different Frenchy's experiences from going to 5 different places.
We actually have a passport challenge where if you get a cocktail, a special cocktail that's original at each location, they stamp a card and you can go to our gift shop and get a Frenchy's passport t-shirt saying that you've been to all the Frenchy's.
I'm sure Florida doesn't mind having Frenchy's all to itself, but it's really a shame that people around the country can't experience and taste this for themselves.
We actually have an online ordering system. If you go on to FrenchyStoneCrab.com, you can order any of our seafood across the United States, and we ship. So you can have stone crab, fresh grouper, you know, whatever we have on our menu, you can have that delivered, whether it's she crab soup or smoked fish spread. We'll make that transfer from the restaurants and get it shipped to you.
This is all part of just a natural evolution that goes from that original cafe and that original idea. What's next?
We're always trying to get our seafood out to more people. Right now we only have our retail place, but it was small. It's our fish house, and it doubled as a retail place, but we didn't think that was enough. So we actually got a retail place right across the street that is going to be opened in late spring, and they're going to be offering a lot of fresh from Florida, meats, steaks, cooked steaks.
Oh, so not just seafood.
No.
So Frenchy's is actually spreading out even a little bit more.
Yeah, we're trying to have pre-made salads and select cuts of beef and the fresh fish that everybody comes to us, all presented in a showcase area.
You know, one of the things that's different about every Frenchy's is the look. There's not a cookie cutter look. They're all completely different. And this one has got maybe the biggest grouper I've ever seen.
That one was a monster.
But now here's the story I heard, is that is actually modeled on an actual real fish.
Yeah, when we bought this restaurant, it came with a hammerhead shark that we now keep on our dock. But they wanted to put a grouper out there, so they said, Joel, we need the biggest grouper you can find, and we want to make a statue of it. So I found this 38-pound red grouper. That was probably the biggest grouper I've ever seen in my 10 years being here. They actually modeled that anatomically after this massive grouper, and that's, kind of our mascot for this area. It shows people where they can get it.
Do you listen to the TV on high volume or have trouble hearing conversations? Then you would benefit from hearing aids. Don't waste thousands on expensive hearing aids when you can get Nano's revolutionary technology for just $297. Don't be fooled by higher-priced hearing aids. The CIC Recharge is a true hearing aid, not an amplifier. With rechargeable technology many customers say is superior to more expensive models. Call now and get not 1, but 2 Nano hearing aids for just $297. $297. Plus, we'll add a portable charging case and ship your order absolutely free. The CIC Recharge has a tiny in-the-ear canal design that is nearly invisible. Why keep missing out on important conversations or waste thousands of dollars? Call and get 2 CIC Recharge hearing aids for only $297 and free shipping.
800-705-3056. Again, that's 800-705-3056.
We've watched the boats come in, we've watched the fish come off, we've seen all of that process. You're the man responsible for making sure that when it gets here, it is what everybody keeps coming back for. So this is just some of the best of Frenchy's menu. I think that's the smoked fish spread over there.
Smoked fish spread.
Famous for miles. What goes in that?
We use a fresh catch. It's usually either going to be an amberjack or mahi-mahi, depending on kind of what we're getting a lot of. Smoke it in-house at a few of the different locations. We've got a big Southern Pride rotisserie smoker here, which is super cool. So smoke it up with some sauce, some seasoning, and it's got your mayonnaise, celery, a little bit of seasoning. I quality check it almost every single day that I work. It's my absolute favorite thing.
Yeah.
Gotta make sure it's on point. Serve with Captain's wafers, a lemon. Usually the Frenchy's hot sauce goes well with that. It's a staple. It's the best around, in my opinion. It's good stuff.
Is this a she crab soup?
She crab soup. It's basically a creamy crab bisque. It's made with sherry. I believe the recipe started, they say, somewhere in South Carolina. It's never any better than you're gonna get right here. I've tried it a lot of places. I think people have moved to Florida for the she crab soup. My family, when they come down, that's the first thing they want, she crab soup, grouper sandwich. It's the best.
Now, if you're just noshing, you're gonna wanna get acquainted with one of these guys right here. It might look like the leftovers, but that's a big pretzel.
Yeah, that's the fresh catch pretzel. No seafood in that at all.
No fish involved.
Nope, just a good eye catcher. That's good if you're not really feeling the seafood thing.
It goes good with a cold one.
Absolutely does. Yep. Got some cheese sauce, pretzel mustard, and it's got a nice aesthetic appeal to it. Catches the eye.
But this is the star of the show.
That's it.
This is what it's all about right here.
Yep.
This is what all the work is. This is what Frenchy himself was envisioning in 1981.
It put us on the map.
Well, it's kind of kept you on the map too
Kept us
for
on the map.
40 years.
That's the super grouper you got there, the original beer battered, 6-ounce cut of grouper, beer battered with our super secret beer batter recipe.
I just got to wave the flag and salute. That's all you can do sometimes, you know?
That's it.
You know, when Frenchy started all this in 1981, he probably just thought, oh good, I'll have a place to hang out and go have a cold one and a sandwich. Maybe he had no idea what he was really getting into.
The idea was it was going to be a place for locals to go hang out, relax after work, get away from the crowds, have a cold beer.
And it's an American success story drenched in Florida sunshine.
Absolutely.
All right, let's eat.
There you go.
You know, back in the day, fish was really cheap. We thought of it as good and inexpensive. Today, so many of us complain, and I'm one of them, when we sit down to a tuna steak or a grouper sandwich, and we're like, that costs that much? I think next time, maybe I'm not gonna complain so much, knowing what I'm supporting. Hey, these folks are farmers too. They're hard at work to keep you fed out here, where the food comes from.
Hi, everyone watching at home. We're here to remind you that if you or someone you know were injured in an accident that was not your fault, listen up. We have live agents available right now to answer your questions and tell you how much your case is potentially worth. Hi, I'm Gina Bellich, here with spokesman and TV personality Tom Mustin with us in the Help Center. So Tom, phones are really busy over there. Tell us what kind of calls you're seeing.
Well, Gina, first off, thank you for having me here in the call center with you. We always enjoy talking to the viewers and getting folks the compensation that they deserve. You know, we're seeing calls about all kinds of accidents, but the most common by far has been car accidents. So if you or someone you know were injured in an accident that was not your fault, give us a call right now. You'll speak with a live person. They'll answer any questions you have and tell you if you have a case and how much your case is potentially worth.
Thanks, Tom. All right, folks at home, you heard it. Take advantage of this opportunity and call now.